All right, let's make some apple scones today. The base for the scone costs me $3, and I'm using some organic apple, which we're going to use only one for the whole scones. It's altogether cost me $4.65, and we're going to divide this scone in 8 equal pieces. So then each scone costs me 60 cents. In Northern Virginia, if you go to coffee shop, if you buy scones, it's going to cost per scone anywhere between $4 to $7. I like simple, healthy, and under the budget. So, as far as with the glazing, we're going to do it very plain scone with apple today, but you can definitely put any kind of glazing on it if you like, but let's keep things simple. Let's go ahead and start it. The first thing, we're going to mix all the dry ingredients. Oh, by the way, the recipe is in the description below. So we're using sea salt. You can use any kind of salt. So mix your flour, salt, sugar, and baking powder. And if your baking powder is a little lumpy, make sure you crush it between your fingers or on your palm. So after you're mixing it together, you're going to put this on the side. Since we're going to mix everything in this big bowl, make sure you grab bigger bowl. Okay, the secret of this recipe is using cold, wet ingredients, which is your eggs needs to be cold, heavy whipping cream needs to be cold, and also the last one is your butter. These 3 things, just take it out of the fridge and use it. So you're going to simply mix your eggs with heavy cream. And then now we're going to grab the butter. So the butter is really cold. So we're going to chop the butter on the countertop first, because imagine you put this whole stick butter into the flour, you're going to have a really hard time breaking it. So once you put the butter into your bowl, you're going to grab your dough cutter, and then we're just going to make something looks like rough, crumbly gravel. Some of them is going to look like pea size, and some of them you want to intentionally leave it almost like a raw chickpea size. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Now look at that. You see, it looks almost like resembles the coarse crumbs. Okay, now we're going to add the wet ingredients on top of it, and I already cut the apples already before. But as far as with the apples, you will notice I did not remove the skin. It's up to you, it's a personal preference. You can remove the skin or you can leave the skin on. Just make sure you wash well. Okay, now we're going to just combine it together. Remember, this is not a bread dough. For that reason, you're not going to be mixing it too long. It needs to look very crumbly. Because if you knead it too long, it's going to form gluten. Then your scone is going to become very chewy and gooey. So as you just noticed, I'm preheating the oven at 425 degrees. So we're just going to literally put this dough together. Once it gets together, I know it's not gonna look nice and elastic and smooth. It's going to look rough. And that's the correct way. So the reason we're using cold butter, let me tell you the secret. Once that big chunks of butter, once the dough goes into the oven, that big butter is going to melt and it's going to create some steam, and that steam is going to create pocket. That's where you get the flaky scone. And then those small butters is going to melt and throughout the scone, and it's going to make it nice and tender. So we're just going to make 8 wedges with the scone, but you know, you can use cookie cutter, you can make round ones. We're going to brush this with heavy cream. Why? Because it's going to give us that nice golden brown color. Okay, so now we're going to just transfer this on baking sheet and just put them, separate them like an inch and a half away from each other. And then make sure you put this into preheated oven. You can hear my oven is ready. So we're just going to put there for 15 minutes, 14 to 15 minutes. Wow, it smells already good. Let's check it. Look at that color. Nice and golden brown. Now we're just going to let it sit here and cool it down. You can remove from the baking sheet. All right, now the scone is cooled down. Look at the color, nice and golden. And look at all these layers. And look at here. That means this is nice and crumbly. So we have to, let's see, open it and see how it looks inside. Look at all these apples, real apple. And the smells wonderful. Like I said, you can put some glaze on it or you can just eat it itself. This is going to be very satisfying size. It's actually really huge. But if you're a big fan of scone, this is it. So cheap again, it's only 60 cents. So I have to give it a try here. My goodness. Apple tastes awesome in this scone. I really like how it came out. Excellent.